Alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Um, Good evening to my respected elders, brothers and sisters. Um, my name is Ibu Bojang, a brother to the late Lamin A. Bojang of Jambur and a Nusra student. Um, Today, like usually, the month of April is my birth date, but I never celebrate it. Um, okay. Because looking at reflecting back at the life of Lamin, he has an exemplary life, and I have never opened my mouth to talk about what has happened since his demise and the scene that happened when my father was disclosing that Lamin is late. It's been 26 years, so today perhaps is the day that I have to open up and share this. My parents were away to a family function somewhere in Bansang, and it was Monday morning when I heard from my brother, Lamin's younger brother, that there is going to be a student demonstration. Living in Talinding around the highway, I can see the thick smoke high in the sky. And there were a lot of there were chaos going on. Still young at the time, I stayed home, but then there were landlines. My dad was always calling to check on us, and it went on that way until in the evening when everybody was home. Our neighbors were around, you know, friends were around, other brothers too, but Lamin was not home. And then, I took a walk with my brother towards Churchillstown, trying to see if we can find Lamin. And, then we went home and we were there. Lamin never returned home. When my dad came that evening, he didn't have time to relax. Usually, when you come from the journey from, Bansa at the time, you need to rest, you need to freshen up. But he immediately jumped on his bike, went in search of his son. Then it sounds to me that every father is a hero to his son, and my father, I can attest to that, he's a hero to us. Um, you know, then he went back and forth to check on my brother, and the signs that were showing wasn't something encouraging. The day when he confirmed and he came home to break the news to us, I was seated on his right side on the chair. He may not remember. My mom was seated, families, friends, and relatives. That day I witnessed something which I never want to see, because when I saw my mom crying when my dad broke the news, I'm like, it's better for her to die before me so that, I don't want to see her cry again in that manner. And my dad made an expression which I have never saw him do, and then since that day he never did. He was heartbroken. He was heartbroken. He was disappointed. And when he broke the news, then then nobody could control his or her emotions. I went to Nusrat, the school that Lamin schooled, before his life was cut short. Wandering within the four corners of Nusrat, I will try to, walk everywhere to feel his footprint. At least here is where my brother stepped on. He studied commerce, and I was also studying commerce. And honestly, I sometimes wouldn't copy the notes from the teachers because it was word for word, letter for letter, and all the punctuations were exact as it is written by by the teachers at the time. So meaning I use his books when I was going to school, and sometimes I read ahead, and before going to school using his books. Right now in my village, there's no Lamin Jar because that's how he was known. We had only one Lamin Jar, and thereafter there is no Lamin Jar again in my community because he is loved by all. He's that down to earth and he earns people respect. When I look at other families and how successful they have become, and things that they had attained, those that were his age mates, I'm like, Lamin would have done something better. He has the stuff. He's brilliant, he's intelligent. He was going to be a national asset, but then his life was cut short. And here we are, after 26 years, demanding justice for not just him and those that he fought with. And we still gonna say the recommendations that were printed out by the TRRC has to be, implemented, without which the occurrences we have seen, and this is going to continue. Ourselves, we are not protected if we don't see these things being implemented. Otherwise, there are more victims that we are going to fight for. I end here. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.